on an all-new Dr. Phil. She says she wants her ex out of her life.
He withdrew $100,000 out of our house without me knowing.
That's not true.
So her 81-year-old fiance
You two have never met, right?
can adopt their children.
That won't happen. Those are my boys.
You have not seen your boys.
You have restricted me from them. Are you going to get a court order? I'm going to do whatever it takes to have my boys in my life.
Can they put their past behind them?
You needed psychiatric help, which you didn't go to.
Another disparaging comment.
But it's true.
It's not true. Dr. Phil has a psychopath.
It says that he is a narcissist,
He's obsessed with me and can't get over the marriage.
and it says that you are too. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Thank you. Well, Lisa first emailed me back in 2010, so like 8 years ago, when she was separating from her then husband, Steve. Now, she said it was a mistake to have children with this man. Since their divorce, Lisa has gotten 5 orders of protection against her ex, claiming he's a danger to her and their 2 young sons. She says the boys are afraid of their dad, but Lisa claims that didn't stop him from showing up multiple times to their school, causing them to go on lockdown. Now, Lisa recorded the boys' reaction to their dad showing up unannounced. Take a look.
I just got a call from the elementary school that they go to, and Steve, their father, my ex-husband, showed up to the school when he knows he's not supposed to be there, and they're trying to get him off the campus. And this is the reaction from my kids right now. Okay, we're gonna go meet the teachers. It's okay, you're gonna meet the teachers. You're gonna meet the teachers.
Steve says Lisa is a lying drama queen who has tied him up in court and kept him from seeing his children. But Lisa claims Steve is a narcissist who won't even accept their younger son who likes to wear princess dresses. She wants Steve out of their lives for good and says she already has a new father for the boys, her 81-year-old fiance. Take a look.
My ex-husband, Steve, is angry. He's been vindictive towards me and the boys the last 8 years. Steve neglected my boys the moment they were born. When the boys started to talk and walk and things like that, he became more mentally and physically abusive, especially toward the younger one. There was about 7 months where Steve didn't see the boys at all. When my first son was born, he did not know how to take care of a baby, and he was not open to learning how to take care of a baby. Steve didn't want me to go out. He was controlling with finances. Steve said, we're not going to have birthday parties for our children. He said, I didn't want to pay for big birthday parties. I didn't have a birthday party. He was not being a good dad or a good husband. When we had our second child, he was born premature. He could not take me to the hospital. He could not take care of Evan, and he certainly wasn't there when Eli was in the hospital. About a year later, Steve withdrew $100,000 out of our house and forged my name. So I made the plan to leave and get a divorce. He was unreliable. He would say he would come pick the boys up at a certain time, and he wouldn't show up. We finally divorced in 2012, but the torture did not stop for years. Steve told the courts that I made my son gay because I was allowing him to wear princess clothes. Steve would pinch and kick Eli because of the way he dressed. He was telling the boys that I was going to be arrested and be thrown in jail. He was writing rumors about me. I was a prostitute, a drug addict. Steve doesn't know how to be a husband, doesn't know how to be a father. I have taken 5 orders of protection, and he has violated every single one. There's been a no visitation order for the last several years in hopes that Steve would receive professional help, but he has not. I want to tell Steve that you've had every opportunity to show these boys that you love them, and you have not done that. I want to know why.
Okay, now, Lisa, let's just jump right into this because we have a lot to cover here. You say that you have taken 5 orders of protection out against Steve.
Correct.
And the orders of protection, the requirement is that he is a danger to you and or the boys. And the first two had to do with just you, right?
Right.
And then 3, 4, and 5 added the boys.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. What has been your primary concern? What's been the danger part of this?
He did assault me in 2013.
Okay. And how did he assault you? Did he choke you?
He backed me up, and I said, "You need to back off and leave." And he wouldn't get out of my face, and he was screaming at me in my face. So I tried to go under him, and he grabbed my arm and he threw me into their bunk bed, and the boys were there.
Okay. Now, your goal is you think his parental rights should be terminated completely.
At this point, yes.
So that in the eyes of the law, he has no connection to these boys whatsoever.
That is correct.
No more than I do or
That's
somebody
correct.
walking down the street.
It's been 5 years of a no contact order because he had an order for forensic therapy. He has not done that. It's been 5 years and he's not followed through. He had supervised visitation at that point, and he did not do supervised visitation. There was a period of 14 months of supervised visitation that he did not even go in for the intake.
And does he want to be in their lives now? Does he say he wants to?
I have had no contact with him for 5 years.
Okay.
No communication.
So how do you, if you haven't had contact with him for 5 years, how do you know that he's not a fit father, that he couldn't be a fit father, that he wouldn't have some positive influence on these boys' lives?
Because his visitation was terminated.
And when you had children with him, you said you wish you'd never had children with him.
I did.
Yeah,
I
not
did.
that you didn't want the boys, but
No,
you
of
didn't want them with him.
Well, there were signs early on. It took about 10 years. I couldn't get pregnant with my first one. And when we had him, he was unemployed, he was depressed, and he really couldn't step up to the plate. When I had my first child, he completely turned away from us.
Okay, and when you said that when you did have a child, that the two of you grieved your lifestyle before you had children, what did you mean?
Well, I thought I was going to have a partner, and I thought he would be fit and emotionally stable to help me parent the children. They're both deaf. They were both born with deafness.
You say that he said he would give you sole custody if you forgave a $2,700 debt.
That was in 2013. He had his first attorney or second attorney, and his attorney said, if you forgive this $2,700, I'll give you sole decision-making through his attorney. Swear. That's a fact.
Well, it's pretty cheap.
It's really cheap. He sold his kids for $2,700. I was furious.
Did you make the deal?
Hell yeah, I made the deal. Who wouldn't make that deal? They were going to be free of, I thought, the chaos, and the chaos continues. This is the first weekend that we've not feared for our safety. The first weekend that we could just go and go and do what we need to do, and and just stroll along the street, not thinking that he's behind us. He's going to show up somewhere where we're at.
Because he shows up sometimes, you said they had to put the school on lockdown when he showed up.
September.
He's here.
He's here.
And coming up, Steve says he's at his wit's end trying to stop this nonsense with Lisa. We'll find out what he means by this nonsense. He'll join us next.
When I was married to Lisa, the biggest problem with her is she was always very explosive on a moment's notice. She raised her right arm and she hit me in the chest 2 to 3 times.
If he says that I hit him, he's lying.
And later,
there's a reason
you lied
why
in court.
You were tried for the order of protections. You lost. I'm not.
Stop the nonsense.
I'm being put in a negative light. He was pinching and kicking my little guy.
Tomorrow, the Valentine's Day tragedy, the profile of an accused school shooter.
what makes someone do something like this?
The family he was living with sits down with Dr. Phil. What you haven't heard. And Thursday,
I was on the so-called hit list.
they lived through Columbine. Now, what they have to say to the Parkland shooting survivors.
It's been 19 years, and I still struggle daily.
Our 2-part special starts tomorrow.
When I filed for separation, things became weird with my job. I got called in regarding my character. My employer said that I was having complaints about peer-related issues. I was shocked. I thought people liked me. 3 months later, they told me my personal life was affecting my performance. After I was terminated, co-workers told me that Steve was showing up and disparaging me. He was saying that I was prostituting at the workplace and meeting guys during my shifts. I hold Steve responsible for my termination.
Well, Lisa claims her ex-husband wants to hurt her and their 2 boys, and she just wants him to just leave them alone. But Steve says he only wants a relationship with his boys. He says they haven't been part of his life since May of 2014, all because Lisa has created drama, expenses, and multiple court dates that led to no resolution. Take a look at his point of view.
Lisa is delusional, narcissistic, and mentally disturbed. For the 20 years I've known Lisa, I've been walking on eggshells. Lisa grew up in a highly dysfunctional household. When her father passed away, she didn't even go to the funeral. So what does that tell you about Lisa? When I was married to Lisa, the biggest problem with her is she was always very explosive on a moment's notice. The worst thing about Lisa is that she's keeping my 2 boys from me. The last time I got to hug and hold my boys was March of 2014. After that, I've been restricted from seeing them at all. It's just a never-ending battle. I want this to stop. Lisa was getting protection orders against me without any justification. The judge was handing out the protection orders just like if they were a piece of candy. Lisa said that I abandoned her while she was pregnant with our first son. I went to every single appointment with her, every sonogram with her. I was so involved. I was there when he was born. Lisa wants people to think that I was an absentee dad when in fact I did everything. I took care of the house, the cars, the shopping. Obviously, I took care of my boys too. I was a better dad than she was a mother. I did everything with my boys. I took them everywhere because she didn't want to do it. Lisa makes it seem that I don't want to see my boys, but she's the one that's preventing me from seeing my boys. My son Eli has been dressing in girls' clothes for a while now. I've been completely left in the dark. Lisa didn't even want the kids after we separated. She would drop the boys off at my house and run around with characters or other men that didn't even treat her that well. Lisa's behavior has taken a tremendous toll on me. She has created unnecessary court dates that lead to no resolution. I cry every day for my children, and when I got a call from the Dr. Phil show, it felt like a godsend that somebody's going to be there to help me.
What do you have to say about what Lisa's had to say thus far?
Well, I feel most of it's not true.
Have there been times when you did have visitation and you didn't exercise the visitation?
Well, I had visitation with my boys, but it was a scheduled visitation at their school where I was their room dad.
Lisa tells us that there were times when you had visitation and you just voluntarily stopped doing it. I mean, here, July 2011 to February 2012, 8 months, you just did not do visitation. You could have, but did not. June 2012 to January 2013, another 8-month period where you had visitation, but you just didn't do it. February to October 2013, 9-month period where you could have visited, but you did not. And then your last visit with the sons was 2014, and that during that time, you could have had visitation, but you didn't exercise your right.
Well, exercising the right, sometimes in the financial capacity, sometimes it wasn't always there. But I did see my boys on a weekly basis at their school.
You couldn't afford to see them?
Yes.
Yes, because I was in transition from one career to another career.
Why could you not afford to see them? What was the major expense?
The major expense was, it was 2 hours of visitation. It was close to $340, I believe.
I was talking about supervised visitation.
The supervised visitation.
You said that she alienated you, that you couldn't afford the supervised visitation. She had 5 orders of protection against you, so you're always fighting against those.
Well, only 3 of them were active. The other 2 were never active.
Right.
No.
The court suspended visitations until you completed therapy. Did you ever complete the therapy?
I did complete therapy with one therapist who actually said I didn't need to come back for more therapy.
And then you say Arizona's a very mother-friendly state.
It is.
And so they ruled always in favor of Lisa.
It's actually not. It's a father's right state.
So are you aware that what she wants to do right now is terminate your rights completely?
I wasn't aware of that before.
How do you feel about that?
Well, that won't happen. I'll make sure of it. Those are my boys.
You have not seen your boys. You have not fought for your boys.
You have
You've put them
restricted
in
me
harm's
from
way.
them
I
for
didn't
no
restrict you.
reason. I
You
have done
violated
nothing
order
wrong.
of protection, Steve.
Well, Lisa says Steve showed up at the children's school last fall. What did he want? Did he have a right to be there? Did he have a right to get what he was asking for? Well, he'll tell us when we come back.
I attempted to go to my boy's new school to see the report card.
And he would not identify himself, and they put the school on lockdown.
That was a flat-out lie.
And later,
You know what
Everything
she's
I've
done?
done.
You saw the sugar daddy website. She was
I've
just
been
on it 2 weeks
I'm
ago.
single. I'm a
weeks
single
ago.
girl.
You're getting married
Before that.
2 weeks ago.
A couple years ago, Steve caused a devastating and horrible scene.
My boss wanted me at the trade show to represent the company for people with hearing loss. I was walking around and I saw a kid with dark hair. Then I saw my ex-wife hugging him. Then I realized those are my boys.
When I saw Steve, I turned white and I started shaking, and the boys immediately were in fetal positions, hysterically crying.
The security guard asked me to leave. I told that security guard I am working this trade show.
I believe that Steve was stalking us, yes.
I was not stalking my kids. I didn't even know they were going to be there. It was a complete shock to me.
well, Lisa claims
my
Steve
kids
has
were
been
there.
abusive emotionally and physically, but Steve has a completely different story.
Right.
We heard your version. Let's take a look at Steve's.
The first and only time that Steve put his hands on me is when the boys returned from a trip from Disneyland. He texted me and said he's coming to get the boys. I said, you cannot come and bring them to your house. They haven't been to your house in months and they're not going to be comfortable. He showed up at the door and he just walked in.
I went up to the room to get their items that I normally take when I take them for the weekend. He was fighting with me the whole time.
I'm like, you need to leave. He said, I'm not leaving. I'm taking the boys. I said, you're not going to take the boys. He was coming at me. He got into my face. He was yelling at me and he was visibly angry.
Did not back her up at all.
I went under his arm to try and get away and he grabbed my arm.
And because she became so enraged, she attacked me.
I didn't hit him.
She was completely out of control. She raised her right arm and she hit me in the chest 2 to 3 times.
If he says that I hit him, he's lying.
I wasn't violent with her.
He took my arm and threw me with all his might. I hit the bunk bed and I fell.
I grabbed her arm and I moved her to the bed. I didn't throw her on the bed. I sat her down on the bed.
The oldest came upstairs and saw me immediately getting bruised. He was freaking out. He said, did Daddy just hurt you? And I said, yes.
The kids were in another room. They did not see this altercation that she committed against me.
He said, I'm leaving and I'm going to call the police for you assaulting me.
I didn't call the police. That still didn't stop her from going to court the next day and getting another order of protection against me.
He disputed the order of protection and it was upheld.
Okay, so 2 very different versions of what happened that night, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you have a whole list of questionable behaviors of him that you object to. You say that he forged a $100,000 check in your name.
Not a check. He withdrew $100,000 out of our house without me knowing, and he forged my name.
That's not true.
You said he stalked you at your job and got you terminated.
That's not true.
He's physically assaulted you, called you names in front of the sons, called DCFS on you, agreed that you get sole custody for $2,700 in debt forgiveness.
Yes.
Gave son $100 and then took it back, nothing for the other son.
In the middle of the school, in the class.
Right.
Yeah.
Kicked and pinched the youngest son and just won't accept him, abandoned the boys, missed birthdays, holidays, violated court orders, quit counseling.
Yes.
So you're saying, what kind of father does all of this?
Exactly.
Okay, now, I mean, you're saying none of that's true? Because the whole time, I'm reading each one, you're saying, no,
not true. I mean, I never forged $100,000. That's impossible. I mean, I did not do it.
It's not impossible. It's possible.
I know. Well, I can say that, but I mean, if you can prove it, prove it. I'd never done that. And stalked her at a job. I never stalked her at her job. She got fired on her own accord.
Oh, hold on. Now, There was either $100 grand taken out of this house in some way. I mean, you said check. Did you
No,
say
it was out of the
check
house.
the
It was
record.
another mortgage.
Okay, but you either did or you didn't.
I did not.
Was there a $100,000 second mortgage taken out on this house
No,
or
there
yes.
was not.
Yes, there was.
And was it
He's
done
in the
by
business.
you?
He
It
was
was
a real
not done by
estate
me. The
agent.
house was refinanced, but there was no second mortgage taken on. You can check this record.
Was it refinanced for $100,000?
Yes.
No, it was not. It was refinanced for a different,
It was
a
his
larger
business.
amount.
He was working in real estate at the time with a mortgage guy, his friend.
Right.
You said you didn't find out about the fraud until the bank called you a year and a half later
Right.
and asked you if you signed off
They
on
asked
this
me
check.
to come in, and they asked me if that was what they had. They investigated, and they said, we have a check here, or however it is, and they wanted me to come in and see if it was my name. And it was not. I did not sign that check. I had no idea about that.
Did
And
you
so
sell
they
your
gave-
kids for $2,700?
Well, the attorney I had at the time, she gave me a statement on a long drawn-out statement, and she said this will happen in order to stop the alleviation from the issues that are going on with your kids if you do this.
Did you sign away custody, sole custody, for forgiveness of a $2,700 debt?
That's what happened on that court date that I have with the second attorney.
So that's yes.
Yes.
Okay, then how can you say you did that in order to be able to have visitation with your kids? You just said, I signed away sole custody for $2,700.
Well, not realizing what happened or the magnitude of what happened after that happened. I mean, it's detrimental, obviously, because that's why I can't see my kids on a regular basis, because she had sole custody and control of it.
But you didn't ask?
I
Because
didn't
you're
know
pretty
this
controlling. Hell, you ask us to let you edit your tape piece.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I did say that.
So you're pretty controlling, but as you sign your kids away for $2,700, you didn't know what was going on?
I didn't know what was going on to the point where, like I said, we didn't discuss it prior to the court date.
Yeah. Steve says he knows his younger son has been dressing like a girl for a while now, but he thinks Lisa is manipulating him or even giving him hormones.
What?
Him being the younger
Oh my
son.
gosh.
We'll talk about that.
Oh my gosh.
And one other thing that I have a big question about. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow, the Valentine's Day tragedy, the profile of an accused school shooter.
What makes someone do something like this?
The family he was living with sits down with Dr. Phil. What you haven't heard. And Thursday,
I was on the so-called hit list.
they lived through Columbine. Now, what they have to say to the Parkland shooting survivors.
It's been 19 years, and I still struggle daily.
Our two-part special starts tomorrow.
Steve has popped up at the boys' school so many times I've lost count. Just recently, Steve showed up demanding their records,
I attempted to go to my boys' new school to see their report card.
and he would not identify himself. They had to get the principal, and they put the school on lockdown.
I want to tell everybody that was a flat-out lie. The school was never on the lockdown.
Another time, Steve showed up at the teachers' meeting at school when he wasn't supposed to be there.
I wasn't there to see my boys. I was just there to meet with both of my son's new teachers.
My ex-husband showed up to this school when he knows he's not supposed to be there, and they're trying to get him off the campus, and this is the reaction from my kids right now.
Eli was hysterically crying.
It's okay, you're gonna meet the teacher.
Evan was just consoling him, and I was repeating myself to calm him down,
You're gonna meet the teachers, okay? You're gonna meet the teachers.
saying we're going to go to your event. We're just going to be delayed.
Okay, so they put the school on lockdown, and you say that's not true. They didn't. put
It's
school
not
on.
true. The school was not on lockdown. I have an email from one of the directors of the schools, and then also there was no police ever showed up, because anytime a
The
lockdown
police didn't
happened,
show
the
up. There was
police
a
are-
faulty in the system, and they told me they did call the police.
Well, we confirmed with police that they have no records of that school calling them on September 8th, 2017, or October.
It wasn't September.
19th.
It was September 9th or 8th.
on September 8th.
8th. Yeah.
On
because there was a
September
faulty
8th.
in the system. That is what
Well,
happened.
it wasn't just that the button was hit and it didn't go through. They also didn't call them. They have no report of any call from that school. The school was not put on lockdown.
I just spoke to them today, the vice principal, and they were
And the
waiting for the
principal
principal.
emailed you on September 8th about him being there
Right.
and didn't mention any lockdown.
Yeah, I was there. She called me in. I went there.
I want to take another look at that video that Lisa provided us.
I just got a call from the elementary school that they go to, and Steve, their father, my ex-husband, showed up to the school when he knows he's not supposed to be there, and they're trying to get him off the campus. And this is the reaction from my kids right now. You're okay. We're going to go meet the teachers. It's okay. You're going to meet the teachers. You're going to meet the teachers, okay? You're going to meet the teachers. We're going to go meet the teachers. There's nothing to worry about. It's terrible. Terrible. It's awful. It makes me sad.
Why were they dragged into this?
You mean for that video?
Yeah.
Because they told me to document things like this that happened to them and show, because they were in therapy, and we had a court-appointed counselor and a best interest attorney, and he advised me when this stuff happens to make sure you document it.
And the older boy says, Mommy, show the court this.
Yes, he did.
Is that an appropriate thing for that child to be saying?
I didn't make him say that. We've been in court since he was 3 and 4 years old. He's had DCS at our house. They've had court-appointed counselors. They've had to go see. They've had best interest attorneys because his accusation of me being an unfit mother.
And when I see that videotape, and I see that brother saying, show the court this, show the court this, then I wonder who's saying what to that child and involving him in adult issues.
DCS, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is incorrect. No way.
Right.
No, that's not true. Do you know
How does he know to say that?
Do you know DCS? Do you know two big burly men at this school came to drag them out of class and start talking to them what's going on in the household? Okay, this was not in my control. They've been drugged into it because Steve didn't do what he was supposed to do to have a healthy relationship with his kids, Dr. Phil.
Here's a letter from, we're calling this Evan. It's not the real name. To the father via the therapist. Steve, I hate you. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to see you anymore. Leave us alone. Well, so where does this leave us? We'll be right back.
I love Lisa. Otherwise, I wouldn't have proposed to her. I was not worried about a younger woman, and she wasn't worried about my age. I will provide for Lisa. She'll get the first $1 million of my estate. I want to adopt Lisa's boys, and they want me to adopt them.
Lisa and I were watching the Dr. Phil show. It was the show on Sugar Daddy, a website for women who want to date men who pay for them. After the show was over, Lisa asked me to take the boys to go shopping. When I was at the store, she called me to ask what her credit card number was. I said, what do you need it for? And she said she needed to buy something. It was odd to me because she'd never called me before asking for a credit card number so urgently. I put 2 and 2 together. I went home and I went on the Sugar Daddy website and I saw her profile built that day.
Well, Steve says he's here just because he wants to see his children. He says ex-wife Lisa has been keeping their boys from him since they separated back in 2011. But Lisa says Steve has been an absentee father and just needs to move on because she did. Lisa is in love, and her fiance wants to marry her, and he wants to adopt these 2 boys. Take a look.
Lisa and I bonded the first time we met. We had a connection. I found her very attractive and very sweet. I fell in love with Lisa almost immediately. As we got to know each other, I got to appreciate her more and more. She brought in her 2 boys to meet me, and they hugged me. That sealed the deal. After I left the hospital, we talked every day. As we got to know each other, she spent some time at my home. I love Lisa. Otherwise, I wouldn't have proposed to her. Lisa and I are getting married on May 26, 2018. I was not worried about a younger woman, and she wasn't worried about my age. Whatever time we have together, that's going to be the best time of her life. I will provide for Lisa. She'll get the first $1 million of my estate. I want to adopt Lisa's boys, and they want me to adopt them. I never had children. I will love them just like they were my own. I'm coming on this show because I want to support Lisa. I want to make sure Steve is not there to make statements that are untrue.
You've been listening to the show so far, right?
Yes, I have.
And now, you two have never met, right?
No, never seen this guy before in my life.
Well,
No.
This is Harvey. And this is Steve. And you were unaware that Lisa's engaged, right?
Yes, the producer never said anything.
Yeah. Well, it's not our job. But you have no objection to her being, moving on, getting married. Y'all's relationship is over, right?
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
You don't want her to marry like some drug dealer or something, but...
No, I don't want my boys to be exposed to somebody that could be potentially dangerous or do dangerous things to my boys, that they could be a sex offender or they could be a drug user. It's happened before with her where somebody came to court and then was arrested during one of our court dates. And then the records can show, too, that she had somebody that she met online and came to court and got arrested inside the courtroom by the judge.
Well, let me say, I'm neither a drug dealer nor a sex offender.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So y'all have a date to get married?
May 26th.
Mm-hmm. Now, you understand that these are his biological sons, right?
Right, I understand that.
And you understand that a father obviously wants to have a relationship with his boys, right?
Yes. The boys are going to live with me, and Lisa will live with me at my home. I have the means to support Lisa and her boys. And if I can adopt them, I will.
You have no intention of
that
your
will never
boys
happen, never.
being adopted by someone else.
Never happen.
And you would just hope to co-parent, right?
Correct.
All right, well, Harvey says he wants to adopt the boys, so what is in the best interest of the children? I'll give you my thoughts about all of this when we come back.
He rejects me. Doesn't make me feel like his son. This is my favorite plaid skirt. This is me. I like girl stuff, and you can't change me no matter what.
If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and want to watch a live taping of the Dr. Phil Show, call 323-461-PHIL or visit drphil.com. Tickets are free, and I hope to see you soon. Well, Lisa says her ex-husband's goal is to hurt her and their two boys. Steve says he does not know what Lisa is talking about since he has never been violent. Lisa and Steve's youngest son, Eli, is very expressive. This is what he had to say about his father.
How do you feel about Steve?
I feel like he's not really with us. He's rejected me a million times, and he thinks I'm so-called gay just because I like wearing pink. One time at this pajama party, I wore pink, pretty princess pajamas, but he put me in these ugly boy pajamas. He don't really love and I don't really have a relationship with him at all. Since birthday cards, right on his birthday! And he sends me nothing. It's almost my 10th birthday, so I'm not expecting anything. This is my favorite plaid skirt. He rejects me. He doesn't make me feel like his son. He's embarrassed of me because I wear girl clothes.
If you wanted to tell Steve something, what would you say to him?
I'd say that this is me. I like girl stuff, and you can't change me no matter what. If you don't want me to be what I want to be, it's either you be okay with it or we just don't have a relationship at all.
What's your reaction to the tape?
He mentioned something on there about a pajama party. I never went to a pajama party with him or changed him into clothes, different clothes. So that's why I don't know where that comes from, number one. Number two, my son is going to be whoever he wants to be. I can't say do this or do that. He's going to grow up and be the best person he can be. But he needs two parents in his life, his mother and his father.
Well, then why haven't you been in his life?
I have been. You keep restricting it.
There's a reason why.
You lied in court. That's the biggest reason. When you lie in court.
The facts are there in front of a judge, in front of lawyers. The facts are there.
It's just like the facts aren't here
what about
today.
when there were no order protections? Because you didn't have the money. There's always an excuse. You don't want to take responsibility for anything.
I do take responsibility for things that happen, but you lied on the protection orders, and then you got it enforced because the judge enforced it.
You were on trial. They were upheld. You were tried for the order protections. You lost.
And she fabricates and she constricts everything.
I've put together a timeline that stretches out across time, and when you look at it, it has been contentious so long because July 11, order of protection, then the divorce, 13 order of protection, 14 order of protection, 14 order of protection, 15 order of protection. All of this comes across here. Then this school lockdown that we're told did not happen.
Right. And then can I mention something? I gotta stop you there. In 2016, the thing crashed the convention. I was working there. I worked for the company that we sponsored people helping buy hearing aids.
You even agreed he was working that convention.
That's what they said to me. That's what they told me.
Yeah.
But he was way on the opposite side with an order protection.
I walked over there because I didn't know they were there.
He knew we were there.
Both Lisa and Steve say they wanted a resolution, but are they willing to compromise? I'm not sure either of these parents are trying to be smart right now. I think they're trying to win instead of be smart. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back. Both of you have run an agenda that has really crowded your kids out of the way. And one thing I can tell you for absolute certain, I mean, may a lightning bolt blast me out of this chair right now if I am lying. If you persist and successfully eradicate him from their lives, that will come back to bite you in a way you will not believe.
Talk to them. Talk to them. You talk to them. He just accused me of giving my son hormones. Another allegation. Another disparaging. He won't stop disparaging me. He's chosen not to be in their lives. He has, and I understand that. This is not what I wanted.
Then stop.
I'm not.
Stop. You need stop the nonsense.
See?
You need just. Thank
you. You stop the nonsense. You stop. You stop it.
It may be 5 years, it may be 10 years, but the day's going to come when they're apt to judge you very harshly, and I want you to be able to say, I did everything possible to make it easy, to pave the road for your father to be in your life.
I have tried to have a healthy relationship with this man. We were in marital counseling. It was the blame thing.
You needed psychiatric help, which you didn't go to.
Another disparaging comment.
But it's true.
It's not true. Dr. Phil has the psych eval, and it shows who you are in the psych eval.
Well, you know what it says? It says that he is a narcissist.
It also says he's obsessed with me and can't get over the marriage. It does. What do you mean? That's what it says. Oh my gosh.
It says that he is a narcissist. And it says that you are too. I'm going to ask you one question, and I'm going to say one more thing, and then we're going to be done.
Fine.
What is it you want me to say or do that I'm not saying or doing?
I'm not saying that you're not saying or doing anything, but it's not, you know, I'm being put in a negative light when I'm the one who's carried these boys.
That's what's upset you, is you're not coming out as the hero here, right?
I don't want to be a hero. Yeah. He was pinching and kicking my little guy. Yeah. It's documented. It's a fact.
Dr. Phil, the boys should speak for themselves. And, you know, whether you think they're going to be harshly...
Well, Harvey, I'm going to stop you there because my boys can speak for themselves, but they've been coerced by them for the last couple of years without my feedback. Let me be in their lives. Let me be in their lives. Let me be in their lives and see what happens.
You chose not to do your visitation. That's not true. You just saw the timeline. You chose not to be an active part.
Things are different now.
If those boys move to my home, are you going to come out there? Are you going to visit them?
Well, they're not to leave the state.
Do you have a court order?
Do I have a court order?
Yeah,
I don't have a court order, but we've been both designated. Our boys are not to leave the
court order. Are you going to proceed with your visitation rights, and you're going to come...
Those are my boys. I'm going to do whatever it takes to have my boys...
You haven't. You haven't. No, you haven't.
You restricted everything. Dr. Phil just explained it to you. Okay. Everything you've done. Do you know what she's done? You saw the Sugar Daddy website. She was just on it 2 weeks ago.
I'm single.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, please.
Okay, hold on.
I was single, Steve. I'm allowed to be on any website that I want.
You're getting married.
Stop.
Before that.
2 weeks ago.
Well, I was not on that website. Oh, please.
Stop. I agreed to do this for the children.
Wow.
I implore you both to seek a way for these children to have both parents in their lives. And I am willing to arrange for both of you to have very focused co-parenting guidance so you can put these children's interest ahead of your own. You can yell and scream.
No, but what am I supposed to do if he's telling me I have a mental illness? This is what he tells my children.
I want to thank my guests for being here today. And I'll make this help available to you. Thanks so much. I'm going to make the help available to you.